Good morning and welcome to the fifth quarter AZ. My name is Danny Neal and I'll be your co-host for today. And I just want to welcome everybody here at this nice snowy morning in Flagstaff, Arizona. Hope everybody's safe and sound. And it's nice to know that my co-host has made it to the show on time today. He's made it through all the elements, and when you talk about elements and you're talking about R&B groups that would call the elements, I might as well call this man Earth, Wind, and Fire. My guy, Mr. Tyrone Johnson. How you doing, man?
Oh, man, I am doing well, man. I like that, man. You're funny, man. I did make it through the elements this morning, though. You know what I mean?
Yes, you did.
That's the dedication to the show, man. I wanted to get up and just see your bright, chipper self, you know what I mean, and start this Friday off right.
Hey, man, I did. I got up, got out of bed, came downstairs, turned on my laptop. I'm ready to go. I had to fight the elements myself. But you have to excuse me, I'm fighting a little cold this morning, so if I have a little cough here and there, please, everyone, excuse me. But it's just that time of year. So, Coach, How you doing this morning? What was it like out there on the ride in this morning?
Well, you know, they're out there working on the roads. You see some crews working on light poles that somebody done ran into and knocked down. And
Already?
Already, man.
Man, ain't but that much snow out there.
That's what I'm saying, man. But people just don't slow down. They don't slow down when the roads is wet. They don't walk like a penguin when they out there on the icy conditions. So y'all just be safe out there.
And that's a little advice Coach Johnson gives everybody. When you're out there on that ice, walk like a penguin. Walk like a penguin. Because Coach said he has never seen a penguin fall. So he must be right. But Coach, you had an exciting week this week with Flag High, Coconino basketball, boys and girls. It was exciting, boys won, Coconino boys won some, Flag High girls won some. And so both teams from both schools really went out there and put on a show for the crowd, man. So just proud of all of them. Hey, how was it, man?
Game was good, man. It was only one game this week, and so just really trying to focus in and finish up the season strong. We'll see if we get to play next week. But, anytime we come into a region game, it's important for us to be ready, to be prepared then, especially when it's the rivalry. We want to just make sure that we're doing what's necessary for us to play at our level. And if we do that, the scoreboard takes care of itself. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't. And so, this week we were fortunate to be able just to win the game and continue to build towards the postseason, and that's the most important thing for us. But you also had a rivalry game. How did that go for you?
Okay, man, I got a technical. Okay? I got a technical.
I wasn't even going to tell the people, man.
I've had two technicals in almost 30-some years coaching. One was like 15 years ago, and then the other one was Tuesday night. I did not deserve it. Bottom line, I'm going to leave it at that. Now, but Coach, listen, hey, see, I'm going to change the subject, man, because you got me all embarrassed. People going to be laughing at me. I go to Safeways, that's that man got the technical. You got a kick out of that, didn't you?
Hey, man, I wasn't even going to bring up the technical. I just want to know how your girls played, how the freshmen played. That's all I was doing. You brought that up. That's your guilty conscience.
It is, man. I'm ashamed. But the girls played well. Freshmen and JV are both still undefeated. Freshman hasn't lost a game in 4 years going into the last game of the season. This will be the fourth year if they can finish off. If JV can finish it off, we haven't lost a game in 3 years, but we've got a very, very, very tough game against Prescott Thursday night. Prescott has only lost one game, and that was to us. But since then, they've just been blasting people, simply blasting people. And we haven't been playing our best basketball. Right. So it'll be interesting, man. It'll really be interesting. With the kids out from school today, there's no school today. So, we'll see how everybody responds coming back in next week.
No school, no practice. It's always tough. And then there's a bigger storm coming next week, supposedly. So we'll see if the games even happen.
Right. No lie, man. Hey, but before we go any further, man, we need to send out our condolences to the Joe family. They lost one of the best athletes ever in the history of Flagstaff, Mr. Clyde Joe. Passed away this past Saturday. And so we just want to send prayers, condolences out to the Joe family. He was my brother-in-law. We just want them to know that he won't be forgotten. He was a member of the Flagstaff Sports Foundation Hall of Fame. One of the greatest athletes ever to come out this town. So just want to send the best wishes there.
Absolutely.
And with that, man, we just like you say, the weather's moving along. Hey, why don't you go up to the Snow Bowl, man? You ain't got nothing to do today.
I got to work, man. I ain't retired. If I was retired, I might go up there and ski. But since I got to work, then I'm gonna stay on down here in town.
That's an excuse because you ain't going up to the Snow Bowl. you know, goodness well, you're not going up to the Snow Bowl. So you
go up to the Snow Bowl quite a bit.
For what?
For the views, man, in the summertime when you ride the lift.
Excuse me. I guess you do, man. And to be truthful, that's the only time I've been up there. It's in the summertime, man. I can't even walk on the ice out there in my driveway right now. There's snow in my driveway. Well, I'm not gonna get 2 sticks, put some wax under the bottom of them, 2 poles, and go downhill. I might as well jump out of a perfectly good plane too.
Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster, man.
That is a recipe for disaster. And so, talking about being an athlete, talking about being very athletic, that's a good segue into our this week's guest. A young man who's he doesn't know me, but I've been following him for a long time, just being next door at the rec center, and he being in Coconino High School. And I think the first thing that made me aware of him was his name. It was just so different to me. So I started, and then it just started popping up everywhere. And that's our guy, Mr. Cristo Tabares. Good morning, Cristo. How you doing, man? Is he there?
Cristo, can you hear us?
We can't hear you. Are you on mute?
No, he came off mute.
Yeah, we can't hear you. We heard you a minute ago, so we know it's working.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Now we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I'll just take my AirPods off. Honestly, technology makes everything worse sometimes.
But if that was me, Coach Johnson would say it's operator error. These are how it is. Well, good morning,
He's much younger than us, so it ain't operator error. It's technology with him. You is definitely operator error.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Cristo, as I was saying, I don't know if you heard the introduction or not.
No, I didn't. See, I'm sad I did, but that's okay. We can get started without that introduction.
Well, I just want you to know that I know you don't know me. This is our first time meeting, but for me, I've known about you for a long time, me working at the rec center right next door.
For sure. Trust me, I've known about you this whole time too.
So, well, I appreciate that. And just the things you've accomplished because of your name, your first name, it was so different. When I first heard it, it just kind of stuck with me. And then it just started popping up on everything. You just went crazy. And so I just went to following you, man. And you're just an amazing young man. And thank you for being on the show today.
Well, I appreciate everybody having me. And it's truthfully a pleasure to be able to talk with you and, Coach Jay. And like I said, being from Flagstaff my whole life, obviously growing up, watching sports, you look up to them hometown coaches and you look up to them people who coach because they have a passion to educate young men and women. And truthfully, that's been my goal, and I thought it was going to be my goal later on in life. And I got that opportunity early on to kind of use my energy, use my charisma, use my passion to give back to my players and parents and administration. And, it's just been an awesome being an assistant coach, kind of working my way in, and being the head coach now. It's truthfully just an honor and, a dream come true, truthfully.
Yep. And Cristo, while we got you coming in, we definitely, again, appreciate you being on. And, you know, you talking about coming in and growing up in Flagstaff, and then now that you're a head coach. But let everybody know kind of your journey in terms of your high school sports, college, and then now the sport that you're actually head coach of.
Yeah, for sure. So I was a dual sport athlete all of high school. Played baseball and football year round. The great thing is that I always used baseball as a platform to help me for football, and I always used football as a platform to help me with baseball. And I don't think a lot of people understand the significance that can have with being a multi-sport athlete and, you know, working my way up through there. So I had some great coaches with football. You know, we weren't as successful. You know, we were always a little bit undersized and, you know, lacked a little bit of that discipline as a football team. So, you know, that was always tough. Then on the baseball side, you know, we were a little bit more successful when it came to those things. And we always had a better team chemistry. And so I kind of got to see both the best of both worlds. I mean to say, you know, with football, we kind of struggled a little bit, how to find my way on how I wanted to achieve my success there. And then with baseball, you know, it was a very team-oriented atmosphere and something that I was very much drawn to. And then ultimately, you know, my senior year, my football year, you know, personally, was probably one of my better individual years. I feel like I started gelling well with my head coach and my offensive coordinator, and truthfully started seeing the game from the back end in, and wasn't just back there throwing the football around like I probably was in years past. Then I went on to baseball season. I had a kind of significant leg injury, and kind of sidelined me out for half the season. And I came back and, you know, wasn't really the same player I was in terms of how I wanted to end my senior season. Then I kind of had that itch to continue playing sports, and I thought it was going to be baseball. And when that injury happened, you know, I had an assistant coach at the time for football who had gone to Westminster College in Missouri. And like I said, I really just wanted to keep playing sports. And they were the one school who flew out from Missouri. Head coach OC came and talked to me, you know, in our front office, sat me down, talked to me about the academic plan, talked to me about that side of the recruiting process, you know. And I thought for me, loyalty and them coming to me and, you know, sharing that love with a Flagstaff kid, you know, meant a lot to me. So I heavily considered it. And then I think the turning point was they flew back again in May of my graduating year and, you know, offered me all my academic awards, my scholarships, and went to play football at Westminster College in Fulton, Missouri for 4 years. And let me tell you, that's probably from 2016 to 2020, those 4 years were probably the biggest years of growth for me, truthfully. You know, being away from Flagstaff, where obviously everybody who knows me knows that my mom and my sister are my everything. So going away and, you know, having to make that transition on truthfully being that young man that I got to maintain my scholarship while also going to meetings, while also lifting weights, while also trying to earn that starting job. You know, I got that understanding of what college sports takes and that business aspect of it.
And I think you hit on a good point there too, that a lot of people, you know, don't really realize coming from Flagstaff is the maturation process. Once you leave the nest, as we call it, once you leave home, those next 2, 3, 4 years, if you can stick it out, it's really going to mature you and it's really going to help you on your pathway into adulthood. A lot of people leave, a couple months, they can't handle it and they right back. How did you handle being away?
You know, if I'm going to be completely sincere, and people who know my mom, man, she is a hard-nosed, strong, independent Mexican woman. So she, no way in heck, was going to allow her son, who she just spent all this time trying to help, go to college and be there. So like I said, for me, I knew that mama was going to tell me to stick it out. And if you have one bad day, then wake up the next day and I guarantee you it won't be as bad. And if it's a little bit worse, then you just keep going, you know, because as people say, we can choose our hard, right? I chose my hard as to stick it out for 4 years. And some people choose their hard by coming back home and taking a little bit of that easier route maybe. And then years later, now they're a little bit behind because now they came back home instead of having that maturation process, like you said. So for me, it was, I found my group of people, you know, my football team, my fraternity, social clubs at the school. It was finding a place that I could make it feel like home. And I think the issue that people have is that they go to a school where it's all about the sports. It's like, I'm the athlete here. And for sure, that was the main reason for me going away and playing college football. But I stayed there because it became home. And you ask my mom or anybody close to me, man, I go back to Missouri 2-3 times a year if I can, because I love the Midwest. I love the people who I spent 4 years with. They're truthfully family to me. And, I get to go back and use those relationships. I mean, you all know we coach and it's a relationship business. The relationships that we've created are long lasting. And I love that I got friends over there in Missouri and they can come back here and visit me and I can go over there, and we're all spread out across the United States. And it's truthfully awesome to just have that.
That's cool.
Well, that's good. So what made you decide to come back home? A lot of Flagstaff athletes, when they do leave Flagstaff, they don't want to come back. Or it's not like they don't want to come back, but something different. And as much as you like Missouri, a lot of people look for the opportunities there.
And that was truthfully, I'm going to just go by, the higher power and whatever anybody wants to believe with. Because like I said, I graduated undergrad the year 2020. And obviously everybody knows what was going on in 2020 with COVID and lockdown. So like I said, my last 3 months of undergrad was all online. I was in my apartment and it was me and a homie, and we were just having to work through that online environment. And I was potentially going to take on some other jobs either there or maybe in Texas. And like I said, lockdown happened and mom's always going to be here for, her son and her daughter. So, it was one of those things where I came back home and I thought, well, I'm going to take advantage of, going to grad school. So I did my master's online here at home. It was one of those deals where if potentially it's a little bit, the world is a little bit different right now with the lockdowns and COVID, I'm going to take advantage of at least continuing my journey of where I want to go. So coming back home was one of those deals where I knew that if I came back here, I'd always have a base to start off with. But then I could take what I learned from the 4 years away and apply it now into my future endeavors.
And as you're doing that, now that you're back home, you said that in high school you were a dual sport athlete, you had the injury and that kind of shorted your baseball career. And now that you're back, first off, congratulations on the position. Secondly, let us know what you're coaching and where you're coaching at.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate it. So I'm the head baseball coach at Coconino High School. This will be my 4th year coaching at Coconino High School. I started in 2020. Like I said, I coached the 9-10 team. Then the following year, I coached the JV team. And then last year, I was the assistant coach, infield coach under Mike Sifling. And, when he had stepped down for his other obligations, it was one of those opportunities where I knew anytime that job came open, I was going to be one of the first to apply and, just put my name in the hat to make sure it happens.
Right. Nice. So what are you bringing to your team from your playing experience now as a coach?
I think I lead by example, and you can ask any one of my players. They know I keep it real with them. I think something that I took away as being a player and now as a coach is looking at, an accumulation of all my experiences that I had, and all the teams that I was the most successful and the coaches that I had a great relationship with. And I'm not the biggest fan of having that player, you're a player coach title. I kind of think that's overused in a lot of ways, in a lot of negative ways. I just think that I keep it real with my guys and they absolutely know what the standard is. There is no expectation. There's the standard, because I feel that if you fall short of an expectation, that's where things go crazy. But if you fall a little bit short of a standard, we can work off some of those things. And they know that our standard is the standard, and I'm not going to be a hypocrite. And my guys know when I'm in the wrong, man, I'll raise my hand and say, hey, guys, that's on me right here. I'm not going to be the one to point fingers. I'm going to be the one to take it on the chin, the first one, and be the first one to have them back up and pick them back up. They understand that I ride with them. And like I told my AD and our principal, is what you can expect of me is I'm going to be there. 365 days a year, opening up the batting cages, giving them my energy. You know, my job is to educate, and whatever they do with that education's on them. But I know that my job is to educate.
There you go.
So, Coach, as a head coach, you're not too much older than your seniors. How do they respond to that? Do they try to make you like a friend, or do they just respect you right off the bat? How do you really deal with that?
That is an amazing question. And I feel that I've even had to go through a maturation process of making sure that I create boundaries with my players. Because like I said, we are very close. All my athletes, especially the seniors that I have right now that I, started coaching with, and now they're seniors. And, it's some of those things where I have to kind of remind them that it's Coach Cristo, not Cristo, because we do have some of those, unique conversations. And it's also one of those deals where understand that the player coach relationship is key to maintaining the culture here. And if my seniors are setting the example that I'm their friend more than their coach, my freshmen and the people coming in take advantage of that also. So what I've tried to do is anytime that we do kind of have that curve where it could get a little bit too immature and they do treat me like a friend, that I stop it right there. But, let me tell you, it's probably one of the harder things that I have to deal with. And I think even more so now as the head coach, my guys understand that, okay, coach has to kind of tone it back a deal and make sure that he's being respectful. And, I'm, holding all the values that I have to maintain being a head coach and representing Coconino, because I don't want anybody to have this negative image of myself or the program.
Right. And I know Coach Johnson has a great relationship with all of his players. They keep up with him, they call him, they love him. But one of the first things he says to him very sternly is, "I'm not your friend."
Yeah.
I'm not your friend. Go talk to Coach Neal if you need a friend. That's what he tells me, y'all. Don't ask me for $1 to go to the concession stand. Don't ask me for nothing. I'm not your friend. And if you go, tell Coach Neal to get $1 for me because I need some popcorn. But it is very important that you create those boundaries.
Absolutely.
Whether it's as a player, whether it's a coach and son relationship, people don't understand how tough that is. And for them to understand that, and especially with parents also, because I'm sure as a freshman JV coach, you created relationships with the parents.
Yeah, for sure.
For a long time, and now you got to sit that son. So how does that work?
It's funny. I had that conversation with my mom. Obviously, my mom is my best friend, my counselor, my advocate, my mentor. She keeps it real with me. So she's somebody who I'm always, talking with. And I told my mom this, my very first year coaching, I was the first one out of the dugout. I was the one greeting the parents, talking, doing all that. And I quickly learned that it doesn't matter what's going on. There's always going to be somebody. And I understand parents, have their opinions and are always going to have their voice, but there's always going to be that one parent that is going to pull you aside and talk to you about, playing time, strategy or whatever. And I learned now going into my fourth year that I let my players leave the dugout. I make sure that the dugout's nice and clean. I make sure everything's well. And then I'll leave the field. And if somebody truthfully wants to talk to me about the game, a player, then they're going to wait all that time and they're going to talk to me. But it's that same deal, just boundaries with parents. And I love all my parents on my team. And I'm very appreciative, especially from our booster club and just everything they do, truthfully. But I also understand that, there's feelings attached to this game, and we all have internal bias. We all have recency bias where things could be going so great and then I'm the best. And then a couple losses here or there, or, players being dissatisfied. And then what just happened a week or two ago, now it's the complete opposite. So for me, I try not to take things so personal also with parents in general. And I understand, that we often are just going to talk to you because we're reacting instead of understanding. And I know that I need to create that boundary and understand that it's nothing personal, Cristo. It's just how it goes. So, like I said, maintaining those boundaries with parents also, but I also hold dear a couple relationship with a couple parents as well.
Yeah. So, Coach, let's get into your current season that's coming up. Spring sports start on Monday. Obviously, we're in Flagstaff. It's snowing right now, and then we're supposed to get snow next week. What are your plans for tryouts?
Well, it's a whole lot of gym ball, and we've been slowly getting everything prepared, for that. And trust me, I'm super appreciative of Coach Elliott, Coach Schrader at Coconino, because I mean, you get it, Coach. I get it. You want to take care of your basketball floor, and you want to make sure that you don't have baseballs throwing around and messing it up. So I'm super appreciative of all the coaches at Coconino who work with us and understand that we have to deal with the elements. But I think I heard, Coach Sifling say it last year, and I've heard it time and time again. We do not use the weather as an excuse anymore.
Right.
We're over that anymore. I think that what we try to do when it comes to gym ball and having our tryouts inside is maintaining a level of the mechanics and the fundamentals of baseball. And, some of those reps that we can replicate hundreds and hundreds of times unconsciously out there, it becomes a lot easier when we're out in the field. So truthfully, just utilizing our gym space and utilizing our upstairs cages and hallways, because it seems like next week's kind of going to be a whole lot of inside. So trust me, if there's a pretty day where there's some sun outside, the guys know we'll go out there and throw on a patch of snow if we need to, just to kind of make sure we stretch out our arms. But it's a whole lot of gym ball, truthfully.
Right. So do you have any relationships with like Camp Verde, Sedona, places like that to go practice there? Because I've noticed that there's a lot of situations where if you don't have that, these kids don't see a fly ball hit at them till their first game.
Absolutely, Coach. I think that's been the great deal for me. These are off-season workouts. We've been able to go down to, Boulder Creek. We just went down to Kingman, and we have taken advantage of. We will be going to Boulder Creek the week after tryouts, taking the varsity guys, and then that next day we'll scrimmage over there. We've practiced at Ash Fork. That will always be on the plan too. Same with Sedona. That's what I'm talking about. You all get it. It's the relationships here. Trust me, I'm a competitive guy. And anytime that I play somebody, I want to beat them. And my guys know that. We want to go out there and win, but we want to do it the right way. I want a coach to know that, wow, Coconino baseball program is playing the game the right way. So that, when we do beat you, they want to shake my hand and say, hey, you play it the right way, so that we can create those relationships. And say with me, when a team hands it to us, I want to be able to say, wow, coach, I like your style, and create that relationship. So when we do have this dilemma, the coach at Boulder Creek, for example, has been very appreciative and says, hey, come out here and use our JV field or use our practice field or cages or just outside to truthfully get acclimated, because the guys need that. And, it's my job as a coach to try and provide any of those resources or outlets that I can. So we're definitely going to maximize and utilize those resources.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there. And then, Coach, going into it now as a head coach, before you were assistant, but now as a head coach, what's kind of going to be your overall philosophy going into the game? Like your game plan? Are you going to be aggressive at the plate? Are you going to be aggressive on the base path? Are you going to rely on your pitching? Just overall, kind of what's your game plan going into the season as your first year as head coach?
No, for sure. I think that's a great question. And, I've had to change my game plan the more that I have coached and the more that I've seen these teams, these bigger schools, truthfully from 4A, 5A, 6A, and truthfully kind of seeing how those teams how they maximize their success. And I mean, it comes down to pitching, truthfully. That's the leading dark horse. I used to be the guy that wanted to hit it all around the field against anybody. I wanted my guys to be aggressive at the plate, and that's still the case, but my guys know that we're going to rely on strong defense and pitching, and it's going to be about timely offense. I feel that if we can hold the team down to minimum runs and put guys on bases, we're going to be aggressive and put guys in scoring position. And all it's going to take is a couple runs if we can maintain our strong pitching and defense. I think it's hard to take one pitcher out there and throw him 90 plus pitches and just rely on him. I'm going to platoon a lot of guys. You're going to see games where I'm going to be pitching 3-4 guys, and maybe one game will have 1 or 2 pitchers going, somebody who's just feeling it. And, I'm not going to take that away, but I'm going to keep teams off balance, and I'm going to make sure that they have no idea about our game plan. And then when we are on the base pads, we're going to be aggressive and we're going to, take that pitcher's timing away and just do enough to get a few runs across the board to give our pitchers and defense a chance.
Yeah. So, who are some of the players that we can look out for this year?
Sure, absolutely.
That you look at having big years from.
Well, it's looking, obviously pending tryouts and how all that situation is going to go. But, I'm looking to have 10 seniors this year. That's, looking around the number, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, but that's where we're at. And, I could go down the list with Riker Patton. He's a 4-year varsity starter, probably one of the only freshman varsity players that I've seen play besides like a Jake Plakis. This kid can hit the ball all around the field, and if you see him on the base pads, he is fast as lightning and somebody who I rely on deeply. Connor Colwell is going to be my shortstop pitcher. He plays everywhere. He's a yes sir, yes ma'am type of guy, and I think the greatest curve that I've had with him is now as a captain, he can go beyond the just yes sir and tell me, yes sir, coach, but what about this? And that's something that I've been trying to put on him, is like, obviously don't one up me, don't show me up, but you have a vast value of knowledge that I also need to use. So when you have your voice, man, let me know. And that's something that he's been working through. I got Hayden Mickelson, man. He's a great bat from the left side. Kid is strong, plays football also. He's fast on the base pads. He's an absolute hitting rat. He always wants to work on his swing. He's always trying to get down to perfection, the nitty-gritty details. Same thing with my starting catcher, who's going to get a lot of playing time along with Cole Miser, is Kyle Holt, a senior. Another guy who just works at his craft and constantly wants to get that 1% better. I got Frankie Avila, a pitcher, or Wyatt Beller, Angelo Baca, another senior. I could literally just go down the list of guys, but those are some of the top dogs that, I'm truthfully going to be relying on. And then I got some young guys that I'm going to rely on, like, a Trey Parker type mentality, who's a basketball guy, who's also a good pitcher, also a good fielder, all the above, so we got that old experience. And then I'm going to make sure we can kind of combine that with some of these younger guys who are going to, be helping take that next role next season.
Well, listen to you talk. You're all obviously an advocate of multi-sports athletes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, because I mean, with everything being so specialized now.
Yeah.
And some coaches, I want you to just play baseball all year. I just want you to do football all year. Don't you just do this all year? What do you feel about that?
I'm my best players on baseball are the multi-sport athletes, the players who know how to move left to right, forward, backwards, who know how to stop on a dime, who know how to maximize their athleticism, and also know how to utilize the leadership skills that you get in another sport, and they can bring it into baseball. I've seen a little bit of both. I've seen those one players who they play year round and, that's their game. And I've seen those players who like playing all them sports. I just think when it comes down to recruiting, especially in baseball, and, I've heard this from close friends, I've heard this from people who work in recruiting advisory programs, that if you're a pitcher in Arizona, in California, in Texas, even Florida, where you are pitching year round, there's not very many MLB major league scouts who are going to come down and look at a pitcher who's maybe throwing just as hard, but maybe I can go to Illinois, Michigan, up north, where they have to take an off season because of the weather. You're seeing so many players here and they're putting so many miles on their arms and stuff that by the time they're my age, they can't even pick their shoulder up because they've just been gassed this whole time. And there's such thing as proactive recovery. And a lot of that times it's playing another sport and working on body parts and working on the mental side with things that you might not hit in another sport. And that's truthfully key for me, is if you can play all the sports while you can, I'm not going to stop anybody.
That's all right. And we're going to have our golden nugget question of the day. But what you just said, I think, is a great answer for everybody to hear, parents, kids, and coaches. because they don't realize that just because you're young don't mean you can't wear yourself out.
Exactly.
So with that,
Coach,
yeah, Coach.
wait, before that, you let me ask this real quick because you touched on recruiting. And how do you deal with everybody feeling that they have to go D1 or they're a D1 athlete when the reality of it is there's not many that come from here?
No, and it's, I mean, shoot, I went to a Division III school, and people have no idea that my team, I only played 50, 80 snaps because my starting quarterback was awesome. He was killer. And I applauded it. I think everybody thinks that it's D1 or bust. You hear that so many times. And I think my job, like I said, is to just educate my players and parents and let them know, shoot, I look at a map of all the schools from JCs, NIAs, through all the divisions, from the Midwest to the East Coast. You're going to see a map of just schools pinned here, there. And you look at that same map of schools here in the West Coast area, and there's a lot less, and the talent pool is a lot harder. So I think my job as a coach, and like, when I answered it, that one of the greatest advantages that I have is that I keep it real with my players. That's just it, is that I keep it real with them, and that I'm not trying to just continue to feed into their ego of like, oh, you can 100% play Division I baseball, because there's great, amazing baseball everywhere. And we're seeing it now with the transfer portal that, truthfully, if you do want to leave somewhere, go and get your stats up in a college school, because coaches are starting to recruit college transfers more than they recruit high school players. You know what I mean? So I tell guys, go out, get your stats, go play. And if you find a school that you're like, whoa, I can play, or it's that wake-up call of like, oh, wow, coach was right, everybody here can play. But it takes a lot of that. You have to go and experience it for yourself. And you can only tell these players so much. You can only share your experience with them. But, I can't cram that experience into my players. I just have to educate them and show them that if you really do want to play, there's a school out there for you. It might just not be a big Power 5 or even a small D1 school.
Right.
Exactly. And that is so true. And even at D3, those are some of the best athletes you ever seen.
Coach, literally all my players were either under recruited, either had some grade issue, either got in trouble doing something and they got under, like the story of why guys go to D3 in these smaller schools is amazing. And like I said, that there's crazy talent that people have zero idea about.
Right. And some major colleges use them as feeder programs.
That's what I'm saying. Now that's what we're seeing now.
Right. All right, Coach. Well, it's that time of the show where we ask you to impart a little knowledge on us, a little motivation, and we do it by way of Coach Johnson's golden nugget question of the day. Get him, Coach.
All right, Coach. Now, I'm gonna do a little two-part with you because I've been enjoying this conversation and whatnot. And so I'm gonna do a quick little two-part. So, you mentioned your senior year in high school, the relationship between you and your coach got better, and I believe your coach was Jeremiah Smith at the time.
Yep.
How did that influence your current coaching philosophy when it comes to player-coach relationships?
I think it was super important for me to be a player and be a coach. And you all get this. I am never, ever, ever going to judge somebody who's in my seat, ever, because they have no idea of the ins and outs that we have to deal with that others only rarely see or get to see. So, being that player in high school where I struggled a little bit, where it was always a quarterback competition, I really didn't get the snaps I felt I deserved. And then my senior year, when Coach Jeremiah sat me down before the season went in and he told me, you're my guy. We're going to ride with you, whether we're at the highest or we're at the lowest. And for me, that meant a lot, because it wasn't like he's giving me the easy way out. It was like, here are the keys, Cristo, go lead us out there, and I'm going to help you lift you up along the way. So that's what I do with my players now is I find those 2 or 3 guys that I can give the keys to. And I say, here, we're only going to go as far as you take us.
Right.
Because they know that they're entitled that, wow, coach is giving us the strength, because when they win, they feel it just as much. But man, when they lose and it's on them, I feel we see a lot more better success with our resilience and what guys buying in. So Coach Jeremiah giving me that, the keys right there was super impactful for me, and allowing a coach to know that, hey, I believe in a player.
Yeah. Nah, that's real cool. And then that's something that you obviously keep with you and take with you. And then the second part is, you talked about going to Westminster, being D3. D3s are known for their academia as opposed to necessarily, because D3s can't give an outright athletic scholarship. Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot on the academic side. And so looking at you, I mean, you've got your bachelor's, you've got your master's, you're working on your doctorate. What's your message to your kids in terms of sports and education as it's going to relate to life?
I want my players to know that and this might be cliche, but it's really not about how you start. It's about how you finish, and then everything in between. Because if anybody knows me, and my mom understands this more than anything, my sister was the academic superstar. She was the one that was the straight A student. She's a lawyer now. She was, the pillar of success for my family. So in my head as a high schooler, I was like, you deal with the academics, big sis. I'll deal with the athletics, right? And my mom got that. She would rip me a new one if I struck out 2 times, if I had an interception throwing it. She let me know. But when my sister came home with a B+, she would let her know. That's not how it works right there. So, when I got to college and I wasn't getting as much playing time, I used some of those attributes that I was successful with. And my competitive drive is one that keeps me going to this day. So now I use that competitive drive in the classroom, and I utilized it in my grades, and I utilized it with my peers on, listen, I was an athlete now, and now I'm Cristo. I'm Cristo, hopefully one day the doctor, where I can show everybody that my big brain right here, my intelligence is going to be with me forever, and I have enough humility to reach out for that help and to keep learning and to keep progressing. So, I tell my guys that if you truthfully want to go get something, hard work is going to take you all that way, and you got to find your motivation. My motivation is not to get, a good grade here. It's not to appease my professors. My motivation is to get that paper across the stage and to continue my education. So guys have to find their motivation, and you've heard the why. Why are you doing this? And I found my why, and my why is to continue giving back and showing my players like, wow, Coach Cristo likes to have a great time, and he's also a respectful, educated young professional. And for me, that's the best of both worlds, because guys know me. I like to have a great time, and you're going to have a great time with me, but we're going to do it the right way, because we're going to instill work ethic that you haven't believed.
Man, that's awesome, Coach Cristo, awesome. Man. Definitely appreciate you joining us. Appreciate the conversation, man, and wish you nothing but the best coming into this year. And, we'll definitely be following.
No, for sure. I appreciate it. And, I appreciate everything you've done, Coach. Both of you guys, like I said, for me, it's looking at the pillars of success in Flagstaff with coaching. And like I said, I hope to be that coach for a long time. Flagstaff's home for me, and coaching has done a tremendous amount for me in my life. Being raised by a single mother, all my manhood, so to speak, is, came from sports. My mom taught me how to be a man through her lens, and I learned how to be a man through my friends, through my coaches. And for me, if I can give that back to just one more kid who's in kind of my same position or maybe even similar, then I'm doing my job.
Absolutely.
That's right. And Coach, same for me, man. If you ever have anything you want to get out there to the public, anything, this,
all I got to say to more to parents out there, this is a big one to parents. And my mom gets this now that, I've talked with her, is, man, sometimes after a long, bad game, don't hit the wound more than it already does. Sometimes just sitting there with your son or daughter is the best thing that your player needs at that moment. I think too often parents are living vicariously through their children, or trying to, live that life right there. And like I said, if you truthfully want to talk about the game, 24 hours passes by, talk to them. But after the game, good or bad, just sit with your player, sit with your daughter, your son, and just be there for them. That's my advice.
Yeah.
That's right. And please say hello to your mom, because we think we know her a lot better just today. And obviously, she's done a great job with you. And hopefully one day I'll come to one of your games and see her and say, it's very nice to meet you.
You have to. She'll be at every game, and my sister will be at most of them down in the valley when she can. So yeah, for sure.
Well, that's all right, man. And we just appreciate you, man. And we're so proud of you. And just wish you the best, man.
I appreciate
you
that.
and your team. Wish you the best.
Thank you. That's
anything we can do to help you, let us know. I'm sitting here and it's looking like I know what Coach Johnson's like. I'm listening to you and I'm like, this is just a young Coach Johnson, the Hispanic Coach Johnson.
Hey, that's a huge compliment.
Yeah, man. Because I mean, the way he coaches, the way he handles business is exactly what you're talking about.
And
at a young age.
And he's been, Coach has got a good track record, and he's got a ring that he's flexing now. So hey, I'm good with that now. I'm good with that.
Oh, well, that's
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
That's all right, man. And you have a question. You go holler at this man, because y'all are so much alike. So much alike, man. So I just want to thank you, man. I just wish you the best, not just this year, next year, but as you go forward.
For sure, I appreciate it.
And I've been sick for a couple of weeks now, so hurry up and get that doctorate so you can come, so I can come to you, and you can help me. So, hey man, we appreciate you going out there and getting that gym and get some workouts in, and just wish you the best of luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
All right.
All right.
All right, Coach. That was a great show, man. That's one of the better ones. You see a young man with knowledge like that, and just so much love, you can feel love and the competitiveness and everything you need as a coach, and care and love for his players coming right through him, man.
Yep. No, absolutely. Just a great young man, and just really energetic and doing things the right way. I mean, that's what we want to see. You know what I'm saying? Giving back and using his experience to really teach these young men coming up. And I think they're going to benefit greatly from his knowledge and his passion for what he's doing. And so that's going to be awesome. And then when he does get his doctorate, he probably will be able to help you out, because he got his doctorate may end up being in like psychology, and in your head, you need a lot of help. So anyway, man.
Yeah, man, I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm through with you for today. That's all it is to it. You get on my nerves.
Well, do your subscribe, man, so we can go.
Okay, hey, listen, if you like what we're doing here, if you like the show, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe. If you know some guests that should be on this show that we haven't had on here, hit us up. Hey, let us know. Hey, man, hit these people up. They need to be on your show. And we'll definitely be taking a look at it. So, just let us know how you feel about it.
Yep. And tell somebody. Tell somebody to tell somebody that, fifth quarter is on. And so with that, with that, you guys be safe out there in them elements. We hope that you have a great day. We appreciate you tuning in. But here it is. I don't know what you got to do today, but I do know one thing. You ain't got to go home,
but you got to leave here. Be safe. Peace.